Welcome to the Koffe Brown Show, where we stir up conversations as rich as your morning coffee.
What's going on, good people? Welcome to this week's edition of the Koffe Brown.
I can't even hear you. It did it again.
Really?
Let me log out and log back in. It did it to us again. I don't know why it does it. Hold on.
Here we go. Foolery. So, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Koffe Brown Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, Koffe Brown, and I am trying to get my TikTok right tonight. Let me see if I can get it right. Okay, make sure I got my TikTok right. Okay. I don't know whether I'm sitting up too high or what the case is. But anywho, welcome to the show tonight, guys. Super excited to be with y'all on this evening. And we have a wonderful conversation in store for you. I hope everybody's had a fantastic day. Jason Tip Dibs is back in the building.
Yeah.
For some reason, technology is not acting.
I don't know what it is this season. It is really fighting us.
It's only yours, because let me tell you.
It did it to Vincent last week too, though. It knocked him out. Remember, he had to get off and log in.
Right, but normally it only happens with you or him, but nobody else. Everybody else comes on. I don't know what it is. Maybe just don't want to act right for y'all. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe because we're the only three that end up on here, and everybody's so darn busy all the time.
Listen, we got lots of in these streets. We gotta be reproducing. You know what I'm saying? We got lots of in these streets. And you know what's crazy? It's funny that you say that, because the other day I was like, man, you know how you think in your brain, if I picked another day, what other day could it be? Because it ain't no different. Life's still gonna be lifing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Cut this light on real quick. There we go. But yeah, it's definitely lifing. I mean, and it's about to be lifing this weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Across the U.S., not even just Texas.
It is across the U.S. because I just saw something in Georgia where they're hunkering down for the weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big blast on there talking about and then New Jersey is going to have 20. It's slated to have 20 inches of snow.
How do they measure that? I still wonder sometimes. If it ain't sitting 20 inches off the ground, how do they know that 20 inches fell? How do they measure that? I always wondered.
Well, the measuring every city, if you ever kind of pay attention to it, they have these different measuring things.
The little cup things or whatever. I used to have one in the backyard. Yeah.
That's how they measure them. So like if you certain areas like in Houston, like you can see where they have the measuring things to kind of tell you exactly how high the water is and all that kind of stuff. So that's what they use to gauge it, to measure it. Now my thing is, they say that, but I don't. My whole thing is, where do they get the information at to tell them that's going to be 20 inches? I mean, that's gonna be outrageous. I was just in New Jersey, and when I was there, it was like about 6 inches of snow that had fallen. And when I tell you for real though, because I was like, being growing up north and growing up in the snow and stuff like that, as a kid, you never really pay attention to all that stuff, like how high the snow is or whatever. It used to be like up to our knees or whatever, but we never really kind of like paid attention to it. Like, oh, the snow is up to my knees. Oh, it's 5 inches of snow, whatever. But I tell you what, being back up north in the wintertime, I was like, man, I hadn't done that in about 4 years. I was going up north in the wintertime. When I was dating, who, we're not gonna call his name. When I was dating, who, I was then up north all the time during the winter. But the winter just feels different right now. Like it just feels really, really different. It's not the same as it used to be.
I would agree. And I mean, we're worried about what's happening here. I ended up seeing something talking about they just had a winter storm in Russia to the point to where they were showing buildings like apartments and like office buildings and stuff where the snow was like over it, like up to the second or third floor, and people are like jumping out of second and third like story windows into the snow. And they was telling people to stop doing that because you don't know what's under there in the snow. Yeah. And you also don't know how hard the snow might be.
Yeah.
But there's been several people on video, they're videoing themselves jumping into the snow and they're just completely disappearing as soon as they hit the snow.
Dude, that's spooky.
That's
water.
I mean, they dig themselves back out, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, yo, what happens if you go too deep?
Oh, Man, that
I mean, I'm
sounds
a Southern dude, so I mean, I've played in some snow. You know,
uh,
I've definitely hit a few people with snowballs.
yeah,
You know, whenever I had an opportunity to, especially going up to North Dakota, some of them other areas back in the day.
yeah.
But to just go dive into a pile of snow,
But honestly, once it gets hard underneath, it's pretty soft.
yeah, that's like hitting concrete, from what I understand.
Yeah, it is like hitting concrete. Because when you said that, I was over here cringing, like,
And they're just diving into it. I'm surprised somebody ain't killed themselves yet, or
I'm
at
like,
least they're not talking about it.
that's smart. That's smart. You got the little babies be like that.
I'm just saying, man, you know, I'm a realist. You know, that's why I think they was telling people to stop doing it. Well, I think the real reason they was telling them, not necessarily because they was gonna hit the hard stuff, but
Mhm.
maybe they were going to, you know, possibly go too deep, not be able to get back out. Because I mean, in some of those areas, they was showing it to where it was over a story deep. Like
Yeah,
if
and
you think about, yeah,
if it's that dense, if they go
yeah,
all the way to the bottom, it may be too hard to get them up out of there until
that's
that
what I'm
snow,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
until that snow starts to melt. But then by the time it starts melting, that might be a little bit too late. Just a little though.
right,
But you know,
absolutely.
but you know, between that and you know, I've been going over like with my clients, I've been going over their year from last year. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know, Jason, that it was a lot of small businesses that were devastated last year? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
small businesses were devastated last year. Last year was a major, it had a major economic impact, adverse economic impact. And a lot of it, not all of it. I don't want y'all to think that this is all of it, but a lot of it did have to do with the government shutdown.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot, you know, I didn't even realize how many people were doing who have the government contracts to
Mm-hmm.
where that's their only stream of income. And so when the government did the shutdown, their whole livelihood was just gone. And it wasn't one of those
Right.
situations where it was like, oh, okay, don't worry about working today. Y'all can just work tomorrow. It wasn't like the furlough concept. It was like
Mm-hmm.
those contracts were just gone. You know what I mean? And then
Correct.
other people were waiting on funds to be released for different projects. I met a lady that worked for the city, and they have at the state level these specific kind of contracts that they release to the city, kind of like, you know, like they just kind of trickle the funding down.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying they were so far back with funding that they furloughed everybody in one department, and one person was doing 10 people's job.
Mm-mm.
Like one person. Like she said she
That's
would
ridiculous.
at like 6, 7 in the morning and literally couldn't leave until she got to like a certain kind of stopping point because it had to do with like um people's housing and different things like that, you know, man, priority things. And she
Can't
was
do
like,
it.
she literally would have to stay to like 9 or 10 o'clock at night because she just had to get to a
Mm-mm.
certain stopping point to make sure they had certain things handled for people to be able to have somewhere to live and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God. And then she was talking about how when they, you know, whenever we have these cold fronts and stuff like that, when they're trying to get people off the street and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
all the chaos that goes with that. It's a lot of chaos to get
Yeah.
all of
And
those
I
things.
heard today they was making sure all the heat, I guess they call them heating centers, to be able to get the
Yes,
people, the homeless people off the street.
yes,
They was making sure that
yes,
all of those were up and running.
yes,
But I
yes.
just find it interesting that here comes the inclement weather. It's funny because you talk about places like Georgia, Louisiana, some other
Right.
places, they go by what they call, and I forgot about this, but they go by what they call the Waffle House. You know, they use their Waffle Houses to kind of judge how bad it's going to be. Because if Waffle House closes down, basically what they're saying is they know it's going to be very, 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 very bad weather, right?
Yeah, yeah.
However, what we have here in Texas is Ted Cruz. So, you know, whenever the weather's about to get bad, this fool goes and hops a
You
plane
don't
to
get on.
California
He
after he talks bad about
already got.
California.
He left what? Yes.
Yeah, he left Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah.
got caught in the airport again on Tuesday.
Ted don't be playing them games. Ted was like, y'all think it's gonna be bad weather? I'm going. I'm out. I am
But
gone.
you a multi-million-dollar senator without a generator?
Listen, listen. Ted is a different kind of animal. I think Ted's scared. Ted's
Yeah,
scared.
nothing says vote for me like
Like
hunkering
he's
down,
running
right?
every time something happens. Like he literally runs, you know. And but
Runs.
God rest, you know, Mayor Turner's soul, but he wasn't going nowhere. Something happened, he was right
No,
here with us, hunkered down with everybody
neither
else.
was Congressman Green. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, Greg ain't going. Well, Greg ain't got a lot of legs to stand on, so he can't just you know.
Mm, he's a lot more resilient than people think. I mean, they see him
So
walking
he
with that
is.
cane, and I
Yeah,
mean, he's not as fragile as people think because they see him with that cane. You know, I
he
know him
just be
personally.
acting. He be acting fragile though sometimes. Like
He's older and he runs himself thin. That's out of all of the politicians, I've known him for a long time, and he is the true politician, if that makes sense. I'll give that to him. I definitely edify him. If he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do everything in his power to do it. As
yeah,
opposed to people who just make a bunch of empty promises. And I've seen him literally run himself ragged to the point to where he'll go sit down in the seat and within 2 minutes he's out. He's asleep.
yeah,
And then
because he
he'll
done
get
did.
up and he'll go to another meeting.
Yeah, because he done did too much. You're right. I'm just messing around. I'm just
I
messing
know,
with
I know, but I'm just saying, I
you.
like to put that out there because
No,
there's a
he
lot
put
of
people on
misconceptions
real
on
life.
what actually happened, with a lot of these people. A lot of them, if they're really true to what it is that they're doing,
Right.
they're really out in the streets trying to get votes and not just because they want the vote, but to help the communities and stuff.
Yeah, he's
But
good
there,
people
most of
though.
them don't do that, unfortunately. But I mean, whenever I do run across politicians and public figures that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, I'm sorry, I just got to edify them.
No, he good people, seriously. No, for
Oh
real.
yeah.
But listen, let's get into this conversation tonight because this is a topic that is kind of on the hot seat spectrum. And when I was putting it together, I was like, oh yeah, we can get a little
Well,
bit
I like the hot
at
seat.
a little bit at But listen, guys, over the past like several weeks, especially now that we've been in the season of where our focus is more
Hmm.
community driven, and what's going on in the world. We haven't had a lot of conversations around relationships. And it's so funny. I was like, let's break this thing up and make this a little bit more playful, this week. And let's talk about these relationships.
Hmm.
Relationships that build you and not drain you. And it's not just about romantic relationships.
Hmm.
Relationships are in every sense of the word. When I say every sense of the word, I'm talking about from mama and children to, daddy and children, grandparents and children, uh, you know, all the other people involved in that process, homegirl to homegirl, homeboy to homeboy, homeboy to homegirl, yada, 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 and all of the things. And, I was sitting here thinking about it. I was like, man, when you start thinking about relationships and the people that have an impact on your life, like, you got to really look at yourself in that equation. Why am I attracted to these people?
Hmm.
Why am I still attracted to these people? How are these people beneficial to my life? Have they really been an anchor for my process? Am I becoming a better person as a result of them being in my life? Am I drained and just don't want to admit it? Am I at the place where what? Somebody just stepped in the room. Look at
Two of them. There we go.
hey, Jason, and now he want to get an
Yeah, now he on mute. Both of them
interview.
on mute. Neither one of them want to say something.
You.
Good evening, family. How are you?
What
What
up, though?
do?
Huh?
I said, what to do?
Oh, well, been busy. That's all.
Listen,
Hmm.
you good. You good. So, I was just kind of like breaking down the thought for this week for we were talking about relationships. And I was sitting there, just really thinking about the people in our lives. Have we ever like really did a deep assessment to really say, is this person still in the right position inside
Hmm.
of my purpose? Are they still in the right place in my life? Do I need to make some adjustments? And it's not necessarily got to be a bad thing, but sometimes I think we really just hold on to people for the sake of having somebody present, but they're not for our purpose.
Hmm.
They're present, but they're not for our purpose. And we kind of struggling to like let them be a leaf on the tree instead of the root at the bottom.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about that. I was like, man, how often do we really like process? How do we really kind of dig deep and just say, Shamika, you can chime in. You and Jason Williams, y'all don't have to be in the silence of the lamb over there. Talk to us now. But I think it's so important that we kind of dig deep and find out, why am I in this relationship? As scary as that may sound for somebody that's even watching this segment, like, why are you in that relationship? I'm talking about on all levels. Even when it comes to work, why are you in that relationship? Outside of monetary, which of course everybody that goes to work expects to get a return from going to work. But
Right.
why are you going to that specific position in that specific organization? Let's talk about it.
Well, hey guys.
Howdy.
Hey, Simons.
I was
Right?
just listening. Sometimes you need to just take in. You
Take
don't
it in.
always have to talk.
Always
Just
suck
take
it up.
in.
Suck it up.
But man, it's important to really take a look at your relationships, like you said, in any capacity, not just lovers or anything like that, but your family, your friends, acquaintances. And my biggest thing has been evaluating my work relationship. And you really have to take inventory of your life and where it's going, and really, really focus and be intentional about, hey, what does this look like? So
Right.
I'm really speaking to the idea of evaluating your work relationship, especially if you're an entrepreneur and building something. We need to really think about, okay, what's on the table here? What am I pouring into? Because I always say those people have already made the vision, the mission, all of that. They've done what they needed to do. And so now you're part of what they started. But how much time are you able to really pour into your vision and mission if you're consistently and constantly giving your time to them? So that's
and while you on that vein, while you're on that vein, is what you're doing aligned with what your vision and mission is?
half the time it's not.
Most of the time it's not.
Half
More
the
than
time it has nothing to do.
more than half the time.
It really most of the time does not have anything to do with your mission and vision. So yeah, I would ask of us this year to really, really lean into that, because what we see, with the way that the world is going right now, we have such a great opportunity to make some moves.
Yeah.
But we can't make moves if we over here giving these people all of our time. And guess what? Currency, our time is our greatest currency, and we can't get that back once we spend it. So we need to make sure, speaking to myself, Shamika, you need to be taking inventory of where you spend your time.
And then too, with so many things, with so many new ways of doing business, there are opportunities that people can like literally unpack while you're wherever you are, and you're wherever you are. There is so many different organizations where you have such a strong level of autonomy, where their ask is that you just make sure you do what they actually do, that they compensate you for. But they're not going to harass you or give you a hard time or anything. They just want whatever it is they're compensating you for taken care of. And to have that kind of autonomy now, and that was a result of COVID, because before we didn't have this kind of autonomy at work. We didn't have the kind of autonomy where we were able to do these hybrid type positions and be here, there, and everywhere, and just producing like we're supposed to produce for these organizations. We didn't have those kind of opportunities. Everybody was kind of confined to a traditional office setting. But now that we have these hybrid opportunities, we do have some of. Now, don't take the flexibility as a means to be dishonorable. Let me throw that in there real quick. And then I want Jason and Jason to hop in. Jason and Jason. Don't take that to mean that, oh, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and then I'm gonna do what they paid me for on the back end. No, let's not get it twisted. At the end of the day, you have to be honorable. You have to be honorable and make sure that you're honoring the organization that you represent, because when you really think about it, when you step away from that organization, like what Shamika was just talking about, when you step away from that organization and you have other people who you're giving that autonomy to, remember, you're going to reap what you sow. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind. And it's not going to be cute when you're reaping something and you know that you're in a small business. You're not in a big organization. You haven't produced that big organization yet. You're in a small business and you really don't have time for somebody to be messing up something when your organization is only 3, 4, 5 people. And you just really don't have time. You got to make sure that things are right. And if you're out here just manipulating systems and all of those things and just not really being honorable with whoever you sign an agreement with and they giving you compensation, then that's unfair to them and it's going to be unfair to your future. Jason, y'all hop in and talk to us about that. That was good that you brought that up, Shamika. It's really good. Like if I'm on an entrepreneur journey, I want to be a full-time entrepreneur, I need to be working within some type of organization that speaks to what it is I want to shift into. Go ahead, Jason. Tip it on there. Of course, Jason Williams is in the building. Talk to us.
No, I agree with her. And I think what ends up happening, if not careful, what we end up doing is, everybody should technically have some sort of entrepreneurial spirit. If you don't, that's fine. But, most people do. If you're working with a particular, say you're working a more traditional job, and like you were saying, if you're getting paid for a service, you do that service, and then on the back end, then you do your entrepreneurial stuff. What ends up happening, and and this is basically what I feel she was talking about, or think she was talking about, is also how a lot of times you get overly excited because the entrepreneurial thing that you're looking at, or that opportunity has gotten you so excited to where now you're just going to blow up the market and everything else, and then you go blow your 9 to 5 or whatever out of the water, and now you're trying to sit here and survive because you done burned all these bridges over here, but yet maybe didn't get all of the training that you needed over here just yet.
Right.
You got excited, you done ran out there. So, it's very important that you actually pay attention to the relationships that you, not, like you said, not just have your in-house relationship, like your physical relationship, but more or less your job relationships. I mean, that goes a long way. I mean, when you have clients, you'll be amazed that even in the field that I'm in, at times I will have clients that ask me, hey, have you considered possibly not doing what you're doing and maybe working over here in this section? I think you would do well over there. If you didn't grow those relationships, you would never have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you still got, even though I've never made that jump or that leap, you still try to make sure that you leave doors open. I understand some people say, well, go burn all those bridges. Well, a lot of times when they burn those bridges is because it was something that they were doing that they hated in the first place.
Right.
If that makes any kind of sense. They just hated it so bad to where it was okay and it made sense to burn that bridge because now you can't go back to it. So you have to do something. Well, if it's something that you actually even halfway enjoy doing, don't burn the bridge.
Period.
Just walk away if you're going to walk away, and let that be what it's going to be. Be cordial, speak, wish them well, and go on about your business. Too many people, I think, are burning bridges these days, and then what? You have nothing you can go back to.
And you just made a good, before we go to Jason Williams, you just made a good point when you were talking about people will jump out prematurely and not have all of their stability in place. Because you got to think about it. If you're let's be real. If I'm earning $80,000-$90,000, annually, that's my salary, right? That's what I'm earning from whatever organization I'm representing. I make $80,000-$90,000, upwards of $100,000, whatever the case might be. It's going to be a big leap for you to walk off of that role within that organization and for you to have that same amount of capital flowing in and through your, through your business. And you're going to need even more than that because you got to remember you still have to pay taxes. So if I'm 100,000 at my office, I'm only going to bring home 70, give or take. So you got to really think to yourself, if I'm earning 100,000 in business, how much money is going to be going out? So it's a whole lot more to think about than just, okay, I got this business. I'm getting ready to run this business, yada, yada, yada. excuse me, you're gonna need a lot more capital than you think. I'm gonna
Correct.
yield over
Absolutely.
to Jason Williams, but yeah, you're gonna need a whole bunch more capital than you think. Believe me when I tell you, when I first thought I was gonna, run out in the streets and just, I'm running all out. No, sometimes you gotta be like, no, I'm gonna run on in and then I'm gonna do this one. You just gotta
Mm-hmm.
really kind of balance your life to reflect
Yeah.
what it is you want to do until you actually get that level of results that you need. You got to literally, and it's twofold. I'm gonna give it to Jason Williams just a second. It's really twofold. Some say just go ahead, take the leap, deal with everything that goes along with it. Others talk about just doing it in progressive steps, and it has a lot to do with who you are as an individual person, because everybody
Yeah.
cannot handle the pain of that process.
Yeah.
And your responsibilities that
Correct.
you have in the house. If you have kids, a
Correct.
spouse, whatever,
Be smart. Yeah.
Yes. Think
Yeah.
about Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey was like, this dude then blew it like 3 times
Mm-hmm.
before he ever got to a place of stability. He blew it 3 times, like to the point where he was in his car for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
Just
married
trying to
2-3 times
prepare.
too, Yeah.
Yes, he blew
And I'm
it a
not saying
lot.
that in jest. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, he blew it a lot before he got to that place that he wanted to be in. So you got to really remember. We got to really remember about all the variables that come along with
Yeah.
success. It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of steps that lead to it, and you got to really know. You got to really understand you, because
Mm-hmm.
some people, if you try to jump off that cliff, and I'm not speaking this negative. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying, but you're gonna be depressed.
It happens.
It's not gonna help you because you don't have anything soft to land on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's going to bother you from a mental standpoint, so much so that you're gonna have to get some kind of balance in your life in order to be able to withstand that process. It's not a joke.
It's
Okay?
Well, since we started this conversation with relationships, we went into business. Both are, yes, we understand them from different perspectives, but both can be mutually looked upon in the same way. And I'm saying that because in whatever relationship that you're in, whether it's business, platonic, romantic, you have to be self-aware, self-aware of who you are, as it was previously stated, and where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to be aware of who and what you are attaching yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, we look at, I'll say it like this. I mentor a lot of little kids. I shouldn't say little kids because some of them are in their 20s and 30s, but talking to them, it seems a lot of them believe they deserve more than they actually do.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have the experience, they don't have the time under their belt, they don't have the full training. Even if they've gone to college, they have the book knowledge but no practical skills. And I'm saying that because sometimes we attach ourselves to things because it looks like we're getting ready to go somewhere. And a lot of times most people don't do full research on who or what they're attaching themselves to. And even with an entrepreneurship, if you're trying to be a business owner, you have to be aware of who you are, 100%. Because, like you said previously, there are a lot of times people step out, and you by yourself do not have the skill set to do it all. No one is a buyer, seller, doer, marketer.
Right.
No one is all of that by themselves. So if you're not all of that, then you have to build a team, which means I have to trust people to do their jobs. And that's the hardest thing, especially as a business owner, is allowing other people to take your vision and make it somewhat of their own to a degree, but to bring back all of their efforts to your business and not their own.
Mm-hmm.
Because as of today, everybody's trying to build a platform.
Right.
So today's mindset is totally different than 30 years ago, where I would attach myself to your thing and say, let's build your thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I'm attaching myself to your thing because your thing will bring me more people so that I can build my own platform in the midst of your business. So you really have to be aware of it all. And I'm speaking from experience. You have to be aware of it all and understand there will be people that you will attach yourself to that will not have your best interest in mind.
Right.
Yep.
But that comes with business.
And you have
Everybody that joins your business is not going to be your best friend.
Right. Right. And you got to go through that because you got to learn. You have to learn the whole. You have to learn how to have the ability to identify who's who before you sign agreements with these people.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll say like this. I've learned to be slow to hire, quick to fire, because people always put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
Right.
In the interview process, what's that?
Right.
The puppy love stage of the relationship. Right. Everybody put their best foot forward.
Right. Right. Grandiose.
Right. As time progresses, things change and the real person actually shows up. But you just have to be smart enough to see the real person and say, okay, this is who you really are. Now I need to make a decision and not hold you hostage while you're holding us hostage and both of us get nowhere. Because I'm holding on to you because I have nobody else, but I'm struggling because what you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or you're not doing well enough in the area that you said you would, or what you're doing is focusing on something else than what we're trying to do here. So yeah, there's a lot to it that you have to be mentally prepared for, and you have to be aware. You literally have to have your eyes open on everything. And I'm gonna just stop that right there.
It's the truth. It's the fact. Let's tap on in, let's hop out of business and hop into the bedroom. Let's hop out of business to the bedroom. Listen, who are you doing life with? When it comes to even, even from business and everything else, who you're doing life with dictates a lot of how the success of what you want to do plays out. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they were just talking about how their person always has an attitude about them being gone to do what it is they said they were going to do when they got started, right? And I said, so I know that when you started this process with this person had apprehensions. And they made little statements. They may have said it allegedly jokingly or playfully or something like that. But they showed you some indications that they ain't like what you was doing.
You was gonna have a problem.
You just ain't pick up. You just chose not to pick up on it, or you chose to ignore it. Because you felt like, oh, this is my person. I want to be with this person. They, they just playing yada yada yada. But it's not funny when it's time to go get what you really want to get in life.
Agreed.
That's probably the most important relationship in the earth to pay attention to. Who's walking life with you, who
you doing life with for shizzle.
Because
for shizzle.
They can hinder some stuff. And speaking, as me, for myself, that's been probably the toughest thing, is trying to date, because people just don't understand. They say, oh, I love your drive. Oh, I love what you're doing in your business, this. Then they actually come in and they see what you're doing. They're like, oh, somebody straight up told me you work too much. It's like, I didn't know.
That happens with success.
Yeah, like you want me to sit down and wait on you to do it? Or what you
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that.
Oh,
yeah. we complained about that. I didn't know that. So you have to be very careful about who you're bringing in that aspect, because if you have a dream, if you have a purpose, and that you're supposed to be moving forward in a way, you better be watchful and you better be discerning, because these people, like we said, they'll show up with their representative, and then down the line you wasted so much of your time with this person, and then nothing's happening. So I'm with Jason. Hey, we might get him in here, but we're gonna fire real quick, because you can't stop what I have going on.
Right.
And we ain't talking about just firing from business. We talking about firing from that personal life.
From that relationship. Yeah.
Either step up or get stepped on.
You gotta go.
Or stepped over.
Jason Williams, I know you had something to say. I saw that. I saw you hit that unmute button like my cue.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. For me, when it comes to relationships, and I've had my share, but I think a lot of times we have to really, how am I gonna put this? I'll say it like this. Personally, I'm a driven person. I'm a purposeful person. And it's hard for a lot of people to come into my life, friendships, romantic relationships, whatever, because the reality is I'm on the move. I'm always on the move. I believe in multiple streams. I believe in doing everything I've been gifted and given to do. And I've been blessed to be in a position where 90% of what I've been gifted to do, I've monetized. So I'm always doing something, because it doesn't just bring me joy, but it brings me income. My issue has always been, I guess, the fact that someone can come in and be like, well, but you don't need to do all that other stuff. Your job is enough. For who?
Thank you.
Who that?
How do you dictate what's enough for me?
There you go. Thank you.
Who told you that? For real?
How did we come up with that decision on what was enough?
I need to stop doing what I'm doing because you feel like, well, you make enough over here. Yeah, but I've been in a situation where I was making good money on one thing and got hurt and couldn't do that one thing anymore and had no other recourse.
Yep.
So for me in my life, it's always, I need to have stream. Because if this one fails, I got 3-4 more that's still coming in. And that's my mindset. And it's hard to break that because that's who I've been built into. And because I'll say it like this, TD Jakes said this about fathers. He said, for fathers, everybody wants what they want when they want it. If you want your father home, he's not making money. If you want him making money, he's not at home. But if he's out making money, he misses some birthdays. He misses some occasions that, the whole family's there, but he's out trying to get that paper.
Yep.
And the reality is for a purposeful person, that's who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I may miss some things. Yeah, I may not be at every event because I'm out there getting that paper. But the reality of it is your lifestyle is a whole lot softer.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing my piece. But if I'm doing my piece, then there's another piece that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah. And then there comes another thing that now that you're on that vein, another part of that is there has to be a level of harmony between the two individuals that are within the confines of that partnership. Because if one of the parties is assertive, they're always on the move, they're always looking for new ways to create and to grow and develop, the other one has to be good with saying, okay, I'm going to take this path to make sure that the rest of everything that we need is cohesive.
Yep.
And we're able to still have this well-oiled machine. Because the well-oiled machine is going to have to happen whether one person is missing or not. But that oiled machine, and also, but not at the expense of that person having what they want in the equation as well. So it has to be a whole lot of conversation around like, what is it that you really, let's talk about this whole thing before we swap DNA and all the other things. Let's have a real candid conversation about how this whole thing is going to look. because it's no need of me, engaging my heart, my mind, my soul, my spirit into somebody, another whole person, and we're not on that same beat path.
No.
Like you just this ain't what you really want. You saw, you came, you saw, but you ain't gonna be able to come. This ain't gonna work for you. It's like perfect example. This one guy, he was trying to get to the head of the charts, trying to see if he could be, at the top of the list.
What he was doing, getting to the head of the charts.
Trying to get to the head of the charts and everything, at the top of the list. And we were talking about.
I can't do another laugh.
That was good. Head of the
It's
chart.
true though. We were talking about ministry stuff. He said, "So you do ministry every weekend?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Every weekend?" I said, "Are you confused about the E or the B in every?" I'm just trying to figure out which letter you confused about, because I'm not gonna stop doing ministry, because then he was like, and then you have this going, and then you got that and that. And I said, yeah, I said, dude, ministry is a part of who I am. I'm not going to be on one street to come over here on your street. So I said, I'm not mad with you. I said, and that's the reason why we're not going to even worry about, swapping DNA and all that kind of stuff, because it's going to be a waste of time for both you and I. Because at the end of the day, when Saturday comes, guess what I'm going to be doing? Ministry.
Exactly.
Like I do every week. And he was like, well, what if you out of town or whatever? I said, what's your point? You're not making no sense right now, because 9 times out of 10, I'm still gonna do what I'm normally gonna be doing. Like this weekend, as long as we get these lights on and this storm don't take out no lights,
we're gonna be good and bundled up and doing ministry.
And I'm like, and I said, a lot of times people come into our space with an idea of who we are.
Right.
Yeah.
But not having the gamut. They just have an idea of who we are. They think that we're this person. But at the end of the day, when they find out that we're that person, they get all disappointed by it. They're disappointed because you find out I'm that person. And I told him, I said, look, he one day we were I was at the house doing something. And he was like, pack a bag and come over. I said, you got something to do. He was like, but you can't pack a bag and come over. I said, I told you that on Sunday. Now, Saturday in industry, Sunday is prep for trading and a good solid week. I said, I'm working on becoming a profitable trader. I got to prepare for the week. I cannot forfeit the classes that I take on Sunday to help me to position myself properly for the week. Well, you can't do that over here. No, I can't. My computers that I use for trading over to your house and all, doing all that stuff. No. So when you gonna have time for me? I said, I never told you that I was gonna change the time that I have allocated. I never told you that. I said, you're welcome to come over here and watch.
That's my thing. It's easier.
If that's what you want to do, you can come over here and watch.
Easier.
I said, but I'm not going to change I said, sir, you got to remember, and two, age plays a huge part in this whole thing.
Yeah.
I said, if I was in my 30s, sir, and you were in your 30s, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. If I were in my 40s and you were in your 40s, again, we may have this conversation right now. But you a whole big old 50 plus tax, and I'm just 50 just getting the O right. Sir, no. I'll ask you to leave your business. He owns his own company. And he has several people that work for him. Am I gonna come to your place of business and say, come on, I need you to come go with me? No, I wouldn't even ask you to do that. Because I know this is your livelihood, and it's a whole business that you built over the past 2 decades. Who am I to come run into your life and try to readjust everything that you set up? I have to figure out where I fit inside your life's equation, or if I fit in your life's equation. I'm not fit in your life's equation.
Agreed.
Yeah. I was talking with a parent recently about a child, an adult child, and it just seems like there are a lot of people out there that have expectations that not necessarily unreal, but unequal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not a balanced expectation. It's either a selfish expectation or it's an expectation of this particular situation was the young lady wanted an old school kind of dude while she wanted to live a new school kind of lifestyle
Does
herself.
not match.
Right. That don't match.
What you say, Jennifer?
You can't say you want me to be an old school dude where I take care of everything, you don't have to worry about nothing. But when I come home, oh, we got to share everything.
Yeah, you ain't there.
Nah.
That's
Either
like saying
you
you
want me
want
to be an
Big
old
Daddy
school
Kane, but
dude,
you want to
you
be
need
a
to be an
mumble
old
rapper.
school chick.
Nope.
Plain and simple. If we gonna be new school, then we gonna be new school together. But if you want old
Yeah.
school, you better give old school.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to understand the definition of what old school even means to you. Because
Right.
everybody's definition of old school is not the same. Because if you're in your 30s, old school does not mean the same as if you're in the 40s or if you're in the 50s. You got a whole different school you talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
You thinking totally, completely different. And it's so many different variables when it comes to, rocking with that person that you can really rock with. Because at the end of the day, people want to be free. They want to be in a relationship, but they still want to be free. They don't want to be confined to somebody else's idea of who they should be. They don't want to be confined to, how a person perceives that thing should be. No, they want to be good with them being who they are, and they want you to be good with you being who you are, and they want us to be good with us being good together and good apart.
But people they're not even honest with that. Like, I feel like some people come, they're not honest with it, then they don't believe that you're honest with who you say you are. So they come over here with this, I know she does X, Y, and Z. I can see, I've been in her life for a little bit, and then I come over there and then I'm like, then they're like, oh, you really are this person. Well, I told you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that one.
You showed up with the representative. It was me.
I told you. I mean,
right. And when you came down my street on my lane, you seen the details.
You saw.
Mm-hmm.
The devil was in the details, but you was like, that's not no devil. Yes, that is. That's the devil. And it was right there in the details that you saw. It was the headlight was right there on the wall.
And basically, they want the results. They don't want the work.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
That's it, Jason. That is it.
Right there.
That's it.
They want the limelight, not all. They don't want the ditch work and all the groundwork and foundation work that it took to get there, but they want to be seen.
Right. I told somebody a long time ago. I said, "You like the idea of me, but you lack the strength for the reality of me."
Mm-hmm. Message.
I'm gonna pass the plate for y'all.
Right. You got an idea of if I get with this dude, it's gonna be like this. Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some requirements to get to that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That I gotta live up to, and so do you. So you do your part, I'll do mine. You don't do your part, okay. I'll send you a pink slip.
Yeah, you're gonna get some help.
You said that way too fast, Jason. Somebody else will. You said that in 2 seconds.
What they say,
you can say that kind of stuff when you don't show up with a representative. I don't show up with a representative. This is me. Take it or leave it for the most part. I'm not saying I may not, consider certain things and make some small changes, but I didn't get to where I was sitting here bending to everybody else's will.
No.
So if you like what it looks like on the outside and what you see around and everything else, just understand there's something that comes along with it. Right. You don't get the show and don't get, have to put in the work.
That's the whole fact. That is the whole fact.
True.
And when you say that, when we talk about the idea of us, it's so interesting because that is so superficial. It's literally, there's no depth to that whatsoever. It's like walking up on somebody and be like, ooh, ain't she cute? Oh, he handsome. And that's it.
That is all.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, man. It's way more to everything than just that. I was in the gym the other morning, and one of the guys that I work out with, he was like, he's like, man, he said it's hard to find people that will make this kind of commitment consistently. you know, without somebody forcing them to do it. I said 9 times out of 10, by the time most people get to this point where they in here all the time, somebody made them do it.
Yeah, they have no choice.
Because somebody got a report from the doctor's office or something happened that made them say, oh, or they may have found themselves, you know, a little bit too thick or whatever the case might be, and they'd be like, oh, I gotta do this. Then for most people, opposition is what drives them to purpose. It's not that they just wake up one morning and they just, you know, oh, I'm just gonna do this. No, most people, there has to be some type of opposition that is present in order for them to step into that process full gamut and be totally committed to making sure that the result happens, you know. But I was telling him, I said, you know, regardless of how we get here, it matters that we're here and we doing what we got to do, and we stick, you know, we're sticking to the process that we got to stick to make sure we get the result that we're after. You know, like last time we was talking on the show, I think it was me, Jason, and Vincent, and we were talking about, you know, like being consistent, right? And I was like saying, I said, yeah, you know, on a normal day, I'm up at 4 a.m, and it was so funny. Like the next week, I kept waking up late. I was like, hold on, I just got saying I'm up at 4 a.m. But what I did do was find myself not working. That wasn't gonna happen. It was like, I got up at 5:15, 5, whatever, 5 something. But I guarantee you, I was doing some kind of workout when I got my butt up out that bed. Because at the end of the day, the fact still remains that, you know, consistency is what's going to get us where we want to go. And that's one major thing in relationships that are super important. I don't care what kind of relationship it is. You know, like Jason, I was on a fast recently, and you know, like me and some of my business partners, we talk pretty much every day because we're all doing the same thing, right? And Jason was like, "Hey man, I mean, how long are you gonna be on this situation, man?" Well, see what had happened was, and then I was traveling like real crazy. So, like, you know, the normal people in my life that I normally have that contact with, I was like totally out of contact. But at a point, I really started to feel it like, man, my tribe is not present with me, and I need my tribe so I can stay on track. You know, you need those kind of relationships where, especially when it comes to somebody that's like really, really that real close to you, especially romantically, you got to have somebody that's really in your corner and on your side for real. They don't have to be in your face all the time, but they got to be in your corner and definitely on your side, like for real, for all of your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. I'm talking about both genders. I'm not talking about one-sided.
Right.
Where, oh, girl, you ride with old boy, but old boy ain't riding with you. No, it's got to be both sides of the equation, making sure that that other person feels it and they know that you rocking with them.
Yep.
And not just saying rocking either. They need to be able to see it for sure. Like, you know, like, you know, all the times like Jason Thibodeau does his acting and stuff like that. And he used to talk about how, you know, like him and his wife, or he called her the missus, how, you know, there were certain times where, you know, there were certain things that she would have to do in addition to what she was doing to support their family while he was out doing what he had to do. And sometimes I'd be like, dang, dog, what time did you get home yesterday? Oh, 3 a.m, 4. And I was like, what?
And got up and went to work. Yeah.
And he was talking about how you got to have that person, whoever's in your corner, they got to be by your side. You're pursuing and you're aggressively pursuing something that you believe that you're supposed to have or do. You got to have somebody that's going to be beside you, that's going to rock with you through it. Even if they don't agree, they're still there.
But then again, they got to see you work. That's the other thing that they don't, that, you know, a lot of times get overlooked. Well, they're not staying by my side, but are they seeing you actually put in work?
Right. Right.
And is there fruit? I mean, if you're
the ROI.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? Sometimes an ROI take a long time.
Right.
It may be a serious minute before you see that ROI. But I will say this: if you see somebody that's consistently pursuing, That ROI has to show. It has
Absolutely. It's coming.
And you don't want to be that person that leave right before the ROI, and then somebody
Oof,
benefit from where you
man.
were supposed to be.
Right.
But
Right.
you left prematurely.
Mhm.
Yeah, they've been trying to do that for 4 years, and then year 5 comes, and bam, whoop, there it is.
Mhm.
That's like walking away from a slot machine, and the next person to sit down and drop a quarter, and they hit.
Ooh-wee.
And they hit.
And you've been there you've been there for the last hour or two, you know. Yeah, man.
That's why I don't go, because I'm gonna be mad if that happens.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tear up everything around me. Furniture
Yes.
moving.
that
I'm gonna be
movie,
mad.
What's that movie? Acrimony. The one with Taraji and that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he was working so diligently to get that business off the ground, and he was struggling. And when that other chick showed up and believed in him, and he got that business off, she was pissed, absolutely pissed.
And the man wasn't doing anything but working.
And literally, he was pursuing. He was passionately pursuing that opportunity. It wasn't like he was, and it's good that you mentioned that, JT, because a lot of people don't realize that some things are going to require a substantial amount of work before you see a result. I mean, like a lot of work, to the point where you just have to be like, okay, this is what they believe in. I'm just gonna have to really sit here and just kind of like just stay in my lane, support how I can support, but I just gotta let them run this course, because sometimes it's just a matter of, a person has to run out that whole course. It may not be the thing that's going to end up working for them, but they have to have that freedom to run that whole course in that relationship.
Yeah.
Period. They got to be able to run the whole thing all the way to see it all the way through to the end. But man, y'all, it's already 9. Oh, this went by too fast. This is just getting so good. Oh my.
Part 2.
Part 2. God, we got to do a part. Oh.
Part 2.
So good, man. Oh, so good.
I don't know how much y'all want to be talking about relationships, but
listen, we ain't even really scratched the surface yet.
We ain't
we ain't got to the juicy part yet.
We ain't got
to the juicy part yet. Oh, I love when we have topics like this that we can just flow through and just, communicate. And it feels so good to have conversations about stuff that is really, really relatable to our reality.
Yeah.
Well, listen, fam, it's been amazing kicking it with y'all tonight. We are going to be back in the saddle same time next week. Definitely keep the entire U.S. in your thoughts and prayers, because this inclement weather is all over the nation. It is not isolated to one region. It is everywhere. These late winter storms, for some areas, it's normal winter storms, right? But for other areas, it's late winter storms, like Texas. It's very late for Texas to be having, major storms passing through. And Texas is very ill-equipped to deal with severe inclement weather. So definitely keep all of the nation in your thoughts and prayers while we navigate through these times in our economy, these times in the presidency, these times in what's going on with people dealing with ISIS. I was driving on the highway and it said, beware, ISIS could be anywhere. What in the heck?
They was just in Prairie View and College Station this past weekend and stuff. This past week.
Yeah, they going to people's houses. Like,
they breaking into people's houses and stuff now.
Going to people's houses.
Oh, they doing the most, honey. They knocking on doors, all kinds of crazy stuff. And like, if they find out, they're not raiding the schools, but what they've been doing is they've been identifying certain students. And I don't know how they tapping into these kids' information, but they're literally following them home from school.
Somebody told me that at work today and said they asked him.
They are following these kids home.
Said he was 10 years old.
Yep.
Asking him questions.
Yep, following the kids home from school. It's been a mess. It is a hot patootie mess.
Right.
But listen, family, y'all tune in, tap in with us. Stay plugged in, stay connected to these amazing thought leaders. Follow them on social media. Go see what they're doing. They are amazing. not just because they on the show rocking it over here. They doing the dang thing in real life and in real time. But until next time, grace and peace. Y'all keep your head up and remember not only to love you, but to love somebody else too. And do something good for somebody. Do something good for somebody. Even pay for it. Do something to add value to somebody else's life where it doesn't even necessarily count towards your life, but to somebody, some random act of kindness that will be beneficial to somebody else. All right, guys, grace and peace. And thank y'all to my awesome panel. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the rock star best in the world. All right, peace. Talk to y'all soon.
With the power of AI, you can make your marketing come alive. Just with a few clicks of a button, you can turn a marketing campaign from good to great. Join us for the revolution. With artificial intelligence, let's make your marketing come to life. CEOKoffe.com.
Understood. But you look amazing.
You don't look too bad yourself, birthday boy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You ready?
Whenever you want.
All right.